This is the Market Your Business Like a Pro podcast, episode 56.
Welcome to the Market Your Business Like a Pro podcast with Ken Countess. Ken is an internationally recognized marketing expert. This podcast will give you tips on how to market your business more effectively than ever before to help you make more money, whether you're just starting out or have been in business for years. And now, here's Ken Countess.
Hi, this is Ken, and welcome to this week's episode of the Market Your Business Like a Pro podcast. And I'm honored to have Casey Stubbs with me here today. Casey will tell you about himself, but first things first, thank you for your service, Casey. I know that you served in the military, and I'm honored to have you with me. And thank you again for your service.
You're welcome. It was quite an honor to be able to do that.
Cool. Well, listen, we're going to talk today about how to generate thousands of high-quality leads on Facebook. I'm really excited about that because, you know, as we all know, Facebook is a super marketing tool, but you need to know how to use it the right way. And Casey's got the secret. So, Casey, why don't you tell everybody about yourself?
Okay, well, I'm getting close to my 10-year anniversary for running my business. So that's pretty exciting. They say most people don't make it 10 years. And so
most people don't even make it 2. So you're way up there. Congratulations on that milestone.
And not only that, this year's my best year. So it's not like I'm not like super huge or anything like that, but I am doing the upward trajectory, which is a good thing.
Paying the bills.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm living the dream. You know, I started when I was 32, this business. So I'm 42 now, and I've been telling people pretty much since I was 32 that I'm retired. And it doesn't mean I don't work, but it means that I do what I want to do every day. So I plan my schedule. And so to me, that's what being retired is.
Yeah, well, you're the envy of a lot of people. Personally, I left the corporate environment for good in 2010. So I'm 8 years as a full-time consultant, marketing coach, and so on. But I did spend 25 years in corporate America, had that ball and chain on my ankle and my wrist, and I don't regret for a second walking away from that. But it takes a lot to do it. So 10 years, that's a true milestone. Before doing what you're doing now, what was your last gig, and why did you leave it?
Well, I got out of the military, and then I was doing some odd jobs. I did UPS loading trucks, which is really fun. Yeah. I like activity, so you hustle and load those trucks up and in the heat, and it's good fun times. And then I was in construction, a laborer in the laborers union, out in the freezing cold of Pennsylvania, doing building concrete and big construction projects in the freezing cold, and I loved doing that also. But really, what happened? It was 2008, and there was a pretty heavy lack of work in the construction industry.
Right, sure.
And so I didn't have any jobs. I was laid off from the job because they didn't have any more building projects, and so I was just laid off. And I was looking for work. I tried several times to get a job. Nothing happened. So I figured, well, why not try this online thing? And it worked.
And it worked. You're living proof.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you look very comfortable where you are. That's, obviously it's working for you. So let's talk about this notion of generating great, high-quality leads on Facebook. How do you do it?
Okay, so Facebook can be a big challenge, right? It really is. I mean, there's so many businesses that are using Facebook, and there's so many people on Facebook. So it's a great opportunity, but it's also a challenge. So the way that I look at it, and the way that I've been able to do it, is the better that you are at it, as you hone your skills, you're going to have an advantage over your competition. And so with the way the platform is set up, that if you use it the correct way, you can get your traffic at a much lower cost than most people, because they reward people for doing things a certain way, but you've got to learn how to do it Facebook's way.
Sure. So when you say platform, we are talking Facebook.
The Facebook ad platform, yes.
Right. Yeah, I just want to be sure everybody's still aligned with us, because, you know, the vernacular changes from time to time. So when you say platform, we're talking Facebook ad platform. Good.
Okay. And it is something that you have to stay on top of all the time, because Facebook changes their platform all the time.
They're famous for it.
Yeah, and it makes it very difficult. One day you're doing something, the next day you're like, huh? It's not working. So you got to stay on top of it.
You do.
And so I'll just lay a couple key foundations for driving traffic and leads. The first thing is you really need to have a nice way to capture the lead on your website. And what we do is we use a page called a landing page, which has an offer of some kind where they can collect an email. And then you grab their email and you can begin a relationship with that person. I also have a push notification box on that landing page so that they can begin to get push notifications. I also have a Facebook Messenger button on that page so that they can become interacting with Messenger. So there's 3 ways to interact with my potential customer on that landing page, and I use Facebook to drive people to that page.
Great. And what kind of offer do you have for someone to join your list?
So my specialty is in the financial markets. That's what my marketing is in. And so it's usually reports on how to do certain types of trading, how to analyze the markets and things like that.
Okay, so we're talking stocks, Forex, options, things like that?
Yeah, right. And now, obviously, cryptocurrencies.
Crypto, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the very first thing that you need to have in place, is you need to have a way to build your audience and then begin to communicate with them. And you use Facebook to do that. The next thing is that you've got to really understand how Facebook operates. And Facebook is a content platform first and foremost, which means that they're in the business of delivering content to people. And so in order to get the low cost clicks and the high quality clicks, you have to deliver content that people are highly interested in, that they're going to engage with, because Facebook makes more money when they have more engagement. So if you try to send an ad that people are not interested in, it's going to cost you a lot more. So the trick is to find the right people with your right audience. Okay,
and how does somebody go about doing that?
Well, it's done through a lot of testing. So Facebook allows you to market to categories. So there's lots of different things you can choose. You can choose age, you can choose sex, you can choose interest, you can choose location, you can choose what types of websites they're visiting, what kind of Facebook pages they're visiting. There's a whole bunch of information. And so what we do is we test one specific ad to each audience segment. And it's a small test, just a few dollars, just to get an idea of what's going to engage. And then you just keep running tests, and eventually you hit the sweet spot. When you hit the sweet spot of the right audience with the right message, then you will turn up your volume and
shut off the other ones that aren't working.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
Sure. I have one person I follow, Frank Kern. A lot of our listeners are familiar with his name. I mention it a lot. But he tests in excess of 200 ads using exactly that same approach. And it's segmentation at its best. It's the image, it's the message. There are so many things that go into it, but it sounds like you've got it nailed.
And you're right. We do the exact same thing. We have so many different ads that we run, and we just throw them all out there, because usually we're wrong about what's going to work. I look at something, I've been in this business 10 years. I know what marketing's all about. I can pick this. but then usually I find out that I'm wrong. So now we just basically go by testing, because what looks good to me might not be what's right.
Yeah, and I love what you said, Casey, is that, you test it with a few dollars. We're not talking about spending thousands of dollars in testing. You'll know very quickly what's working and what's not. And I love your point, too, that so often you and I as marketing professionals, we think we've got this nailed, and we put the ad out there and we go, gee, nobody's responding to it. And that's the beauty of the platform, is that you do get a chance to test at relatively low cost and do more of what's working and stop what's not working.
Exactly. And it takes some time to do. And I've seen a lot of people throw away a lot of money. So that's a big warning that I want to just tell people, is they want their traffic. They want it fast. They're going to go hard. They're going to make a lot of money. Well, when you act like that, you're going to throw a lot of money. I've seen just thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars thrown away because people are not being patient with their marketing.
Yeah. Patience is a virtue for sure.
Yeah. And it can save you some money if you're going to run ads on Facebook. And there's another little strategy that I wanted to share too about engagement. So Facebook really likes people to engage. They want you to comment. They want you to like it. They want you to watch it. So one thing that we do is we build an engaged audience first. And so rather than going for a straight sale or a straight lead, we just have a friendly little video with our brand that gets people all happy, and they'll like leave a comment. And those videos, they're really short, like 30 seconds. They give you very cheap engagements, and you don't pay for them until someone actually watches the video for 10 seconds.
Right.
And so you get a lot of customers that might not be interested. They watch for 5 seconds, they click away, and you don't pay for that. And so what we do is we build out a big engaged list, and they have a pixel. It's called a pixel, which means those engaged lists will be saved. And then the next time I run an ad, I can run it specifically to the people that have engaged with my video. And then I find again that my conversions are much higher, and that the cost is much lower when I'm driving them to my actual offer.
Sure. And I think that's an important point you raised, Casey, is that really what we're doing is we're building a relationship first before we're trying to sell them something.
I'm very much of a relationship marketer. And when I'm working with marketing, I'm trying to build out my brand. And so I have a lot of different channels. I run it on Facebook. I know we're talking about Facebook marketing, but once they get connected to me, I then introduce them to my YouTube channel. I introduce them to my Twitter. I get them on my push list. I send messages on Facebook Messenger. I use Telegram, email, the whole works. I hit it across the board.
Yeah, well, you have to, because you don't know where your audience is going to be on any given day, right? I mean, I talk a lot about email marketing. We all check our inbox every day. And most of us check Facebook every day to some extent, but many of us are just scrolling right through the feed. So you need to be in multiple places, right? Because you don't know where your audience is going to spend the most time on that particular day or during that particular campaign, right?
Right. And a podcast is a perfect example, because I know before the show we were talking about that we both put our podcasts out on YouTube. Right. And the reason I do that is because I know that a lot of people will listen to a podcast. They're driving to work, they listen to a podcast, but then there's people that work from home and they don't have a commute. So they might like to listen to the podcast while they're sitting on their couch watching it on YouTube. Right. And so you want to put out content in as many places as possible. You can repurpose the same content, just put it everywhere, and reach the people where they're at.
Great. So this has been great. Really super informative. Every now and then we talk a little bit about Facebook on this podcast, but I think we've gone into much more depth this time around. And for sure, we'll make sure that you have an opportunity to get people over to your site. But before we do that, I want to ask you a question, and that is, do you have a sweet spot with the type of clients that you tend to work with most?
I think that business is really about relationships. And so like we just met, so that's really great. I like meeting new people, and where one thing starts, you never know where it's going to finish,
True.
right? So
Right.
I like meeting new people because you might just click with someone. And I found that business, this is why I love doing what I'm doing, is because it's really just making friends
Mm-hmm.
and then making money with the people that you're friends with. So my sweet spot in business is finding really solid people that you can count on, people that you can trust, people that you can rely on, and then just do business with them. And the more of those type of people you get in your life, the more your business is going to grow.
That's so true. So when you talk about business and growing a business, what do you find in the work that you do in helping people? What do you find most business owners are most challenged in the way they grow their business? What's your perspective on that?
I think the biggest challenge is probably just hitting obstacles and not knowing how to do things.
Yeah,
And then when they get stuck, they just don't know where to turn. You try to read stuff online, but there's so much material that it's probably overload. It's
yeah,
overwhelmed. Like even listening to me on this show could be a little overwhelming because I just laid out so many different things. And if you're not familiar with the platform of Facebook, you could be overwhelmed. So I think just too much information. And that's why, again, relationships in business, I've built out people that are ahead of me. One of my mentors says, I want to be the dumbest person in the room. That's what he says. Right.
yes,
And so I say that too. I want to be the dumbest person in the room. I literally
yeah,
want to
yeah,
get around people that are way smarter than me, that have already done all this stuff. And then they can download into me. And I want to provide value too and do whatever I can to help them. But it's great to learn from people that have gone before you. So I would say the biggest obstacle is not reaching out to people who've already conquered where you're trying to conquer.
excellent, excellent advice. And by the way, on the note of, boy, we've covered an awful lot during this session, and yeah, you have thrown a lot of material out. And for those who are relatively new at the whole Facebook ad game, one of the great things about listening to a podcast or watching it on YouTube is you can rewind and you can replay and listen to it again and again. And then if you have questions, reach out to one of us. So Casey, this would be a great time for you to throw out the best way for people to reach you. Let's call it your shameless promo or a plug.
Well, it's pretty easy. It's CaseyStubbs.com, and I have a contact form there if you want to have questions. I also have all my social stuff listed. My most active social profile is Twitter. If you try to reach out with me on Facebook, you might not get at me, but if you reach out on Twitter, you'll definitely get me. But CaseyStubbs.com.
Excellent. Well, Casey Stubbs, thanks so much for joining me today on the Market Your Business Like a Pro podcast.
Thank you.
Great to have you. That's it for this week's episode. Check out all of our episodes of the Market Your Business Like a Pro podcast. It's on our website, marketyourbusiness.co. Look for the podcast tab, and there you'll find all previous episodes. And while you're on our website, don't forget to check out all the other resources and sign up for our weekly newsletter too.
Thanks for listening to the Market Your Business Like a Pro podcast with Ken Countess. Be sure to visit marketyourbusiness.co to access show notes, discover our fantastic content, and sign up for our mailing list. Have questions? Send Ken an email, ken@thecountessgroup.com, or Twitter @CountessGroup. See you next time. If you need help with this or anything else related to marketing your business, reach out to us.